if Federico Valverde takes 5 decent shots in every single game, he will score one of them. That will save their season. He needs to be closer to the net. He needs to be close to the action. He needs to be in the midfield. You could see a lack of confidence, and you can't blame them. These are young players. Unai Emery has done a brilliant job with them. Even Man United fans didn't think that was possible. Hello everyone, welcome to today's episode of Let's Talk Footy. My name is Shaheen, and let's get to it. Today we're going to start off with the LaLiga title race. Yesterday we saw Barcelona come back from being 3-1 down against Celta Vigo to eventually win the game 4-3 in the final minutes of extra time. I mean, all this talk this week about Real Madrid making a comeback against Arsenal in the Champions League. Not only they couldn't make a comeback and they got eliminated from the Champions League in the quarterfinals. We saw United come back against Lyon in the last few seconds of Europa League. Real Madrid, the kings of comebacks, wasn't even close to coming back against Arsenal. Got eliminated from the Champions League. And to make things worse for Real Madrid fans, United makes a comeback 5-4. Like, who would have thought? Who would have thought? Nobody. Even Man United fans didn't think that was possible. Man United being down 4-2, make a comeback and win 5-4 against Lyon. Hats off to them. Good for them. You know, they're alive in the Europa League. That's what they're going for, and we're gonna get to that later in the podcast. United makes a comeback. Then yesterday, Barcelona against Celta Vigo makes a comeback. I mean, Real Madrid and Real Madrid fans, we're all hoping that Barca slips, because that's the only way Real Madrid is gonna potentially win the league title. And they were very close. If they tied, that would have been very, very good for Real Madrid, considering that Real Madrid is going to win all their games, including El Clasico in the league on May 11th. But obviously, Barca didn't lose. They did not slip. They had a great comeback, and they won against Celta Vigo. So Barcelona was able to come back. United was able to come back. And the kings of comeback, Real Madrid, was not able to come back against Arsenal in the Champions League. But staying positive here, I just finished watching Real Madrid against Atletico Bilbao. What a game that was. Real Madrid was pretty static, after losing to Arsenal at home 2-1 in the Champions League and being eliminated. Everybody was looking for a reaction from the players, from the club, from the team. And they came out. They looked like, they have the intention to win. They wanted to win. There was a bit more desire. They weren't lazy. Players were tracking back. Rodrigo was tracking back. Bellingham was tracking back. Vinicius was trying. I think he was actually the best player for Real Madrid in the first half, at least. And he had some moments. But again, Real Madrid wasn't deadly. They didn't look too confident. I think that's the best way to put it. You could see a lack of confidence, and you can't blame them. These are young players. The world has been on them for weeks now after losing to Arsenal over the 2 legs in the Champions League. Their confidence, it showed that their confidence was low in the first half. However, in the second half, Real Madrid came out stronger. They came out flying. What I was saying that Vinicius needs to do, Rodrigo needs to do against Arsenal or against every team, they started doing in the second half. They were attacking defenders. They were driving into the box. They were playing closer to the net. It was the fullbacks that were trying to create the width for the team, and they were able to cause issues. And Real Madrid created a lot of chances, and they did deserve to eventually win the game. Vinicius scored a brilliant goal. However, it didn't count because the big toe of Endrick was offside. A close offside call. And what is going on with these calls? We saw it against Arsenal when they were trying to decide whether the penalty call for Real Madrid was valid, and they were trying to see if there was an offside, if there was a penalty. Like, if you think it's a penalty, then you go look at the offside. You don't look at the offside, then there was it took like 10 minutes for them to figure that out, and I don't remember exactly right now, but it should have been way quicker and more straightforward. And again, we saw it against Athletic Bilbao just a few minutes ago. Endrick seems to be offside. The automated technology should be able to decide whether Endrick is offside or not, but they called the referee to go over and tell them what angles to use, or it wasn't clear. It was really strange because they ended up saying it's offside, but it shouldn't be the referee. It should be the VAR making that decision. So anyways, the goal didn't count. Real Madrid kept pushing, and who else? I have said this many times before, and I'm going to say it again. One of Real Madrid's strategies to score goals and to win games should be Valverde should take 5 to 10 shots every single game. If Federico Valverde takes 5 decent shots in every single game, he will score one of them. This is how good his striking is. This is how strong his shots are. Inside of the box, outside the box, 20 yards out, 30 yards out, 40 yards out, it doesn't matter. His shooting technique is absolutely out of this world. It really is. I don't know any other player that can strike the ball as cleanly, as hard, and as precise as Fede Valverde. And he came clutch, 93rd minute. He was taking some shots. You could see he was feeling it, and he came pretty close 2-3 times. But he could smell blood, he was looking for that. And it didn't look like Real Madrid was having a lot of luck. And, Bellingham was coming close, Vinicius was coming close, and they were getting unfortunate. However, Valverde kept trying, he kept shooting, and eventually in the 93rd minute, what a banger. From that angle, with the outside of the foot, the side netting, it was so good. And he has scored so many goals like this. It's not shocking anymore. It's not surprising. It's not shocking. The only question is, why doesn't he shoot as often? And one of the reasons why this last season he was pretty consistent with his shooting and scoring. And one of the main reasons why this season he hasn't been able to do that is because he's had to play right back. And I myself have been critical of Carlo Ancelotti, saying, Vasquez is not good enough defensively and Valverde needs to cover for that, for Carvajal in that position as a right back. And, he's been forced to play there, but I got to give credits to Carlo Ancelotti. He made a really good decision. Raul Asensio was on a yellow, so he took Raul Asensio off, brought Valverde into the midfield, and put Lucas Vasquez as a right back because Real Madrid had to win. They could not tie. If they tied, I think the title race would have been done. And Ancelotti made a bold move. He made the right decision, in my opinion. And Valverde was more involved. He was inside the box. He was pretty far, tough angle, but he was more central, closer to the net. And he can shoot and score, man. He's done it so many times in the past few seasons. And what a shot. Federico Valverde, so underrated. I really think, to me, he's one of the top 3 to 5 players. Honestly, I'm not saying that because I'm a Real Madrid fan. He can play so many positions. He's so versatile. His work rate is unbelievable. His speed, his strength, his attacking, shooting, his passing has improved tremendously. Defensive discipline, work rate, skills, 1v1 defending as a unit. He's so good. He's so complete. He's so versatile. He can play so many different positions, and he can assist and score goals. Like, what else does he need to do to be amongst one of the top players in the world, honestly? And I think he's very underrated. I think Real Madrid needs to utilize Federico Valverde a lot more. He needs to be closer to the net. He needs to be close to the action. He needs to be in the midfield. But obviously, Lucas Vasquez is not a right back. So anyways, I'm not going to get to that. I feel like every podcast I talk about Lucas Vasquez for like 10 minutes for no reason anymore. But yeah, Real Madrid was able to win 1-0. Good for them. They're still in the title race. I think they're 69 points now, 4 points behind Barcelona. Barcelona still needs to slip at least once, tie or a loss, so that Real Madrid can win the El Clasico in the league, not in the Copa del Rey final, in the league on May 11. And if Real Madrid wins that and wins every other game and Barca slips, Real Madrid can be champions of Spain. And they cannot give up. Every game in the league is a final for Real Madrid. They have to fight for that. That will save their season. If they can win the league, I think it's even more important than the Copa del Rey final that's coming up next Saturday. I think the league is more valuable and it's more important. And if Real Madrid can come back and win the league, I think that will save their season. That might even save Carlo Ancelotti. I don't think it will. I think Carlo Ancelotti's time is up after this season at Real Madrid. It looks like that. But at least he will go out on a positive note. It won't be a failure anymore, because he's achieved so much. He's done so great that it's so sad to see Real Madrid not win the Champions League, not win the league, struggle so bad this season, and then Carlo Ancelotti being sacked or leaving on a negative note, because he does not deserve that. So honestly, I think the club needs to respect Ancelotti a little bit more. Fans should give him a bit more credit, including myself. And I think his players need to fight for their manager, man. You gotta fight for your gaffer. You gotta fight for your coach, and you gotta show everybody that you're there to die for your team, for your club, and for your manager. And I think if any coach deserves that in this world, in any sport, that's Carlo Ancelotti. I truly believe that. So I really hope Real Madrid comes back, wins the title, and they need to fight for that Copa del Rey, because it's another title, it's another final, but it's against their biggest rival, El Clasico, Barcelona. They've already been pretty bad against Barcelona twice this season. They've lost the Super Cup against Barcelona. They need to kind of come back, and that would give them a lot of confidence going into the league game against Barcelona. So next Saturday, big game, Copa del Rey final against Barcelona. Real Madrid needs to come out, just go for it, strong, aggressive, smart, disciplined. Barca plays with a high line. You have speed, you have quality, and if you're a bit more disciplined and structured defensively, and you're working hard and you're tracking back, you can stop their attack. And you can win that game. But it's going to be the Copa del Rey final between Real Madrid and Barcelona. It's going to be who scores the most goals and who makes the least mistakes defensively, because mistakes will be made. Both teams are going to make mistakes. Both teams are going to concede goals. Both teams are going to score goals. It's just who's going to score more and who's going to make less mistakes. That team is going to win the Copa del Rey final. And that's going to give that team a lot of confidence for the remainder of the season. So it's a big game. But before that, there's a midweek La Liga game for both teams on Tuesday and on Wednesday. And both teams need to focus on that, because, again, either team loses, it's going to be a big blow in the title race. That's it about Real Madrid and Barcelona and La Liga. It looks like the race is between those two teams. Both teams need to basically win every single remaining game. It's good. It's exciting. As a fan, it's exciting to see that, it's going all the way to the last few games of the season and made a better team win. Barca has been pretty good. They've struggled in the past few seasons. So this season, they've been more consistent. They've been scoring goals. They've been playing better. So they also deserve to be there, man. And they're still competing in the Champions League. So we'll see what happens. I think it's also worth talking about the Champions League spot race in the Premier League. Obviously, it looks like Liverpool is going to be winning the title in the Premier League. And it looks like Arsenal is going to be finishing second pretty comfortably. But the third, fourth, fifth, 6th and 7th teams are very, very tight. Literally like 1 point differences or less. You got Newcastle 3rd, 59 points. Man City 4th, 58 points. And then Chelsea 5th, 57 points. Nottingham Forest 6th, 57 points. And Aston Villa 7th, 57 points. So who's going to be finishing in the Champions League spot? Who's going to be finishing in the Europa League spot? It's very, very, very exciting. And some of these teams, like Aston Villa, is playing beautiful football. Obviously, they beat Newcastle 4-1. Nottingham Forest is a big, big surprise, but good for them for being there. Chelsea, Man City, these teams, they need to be in the Champions League. These are big clubs. So it's going to be interesting to see who ends up in the Champions League, who ends up in the Europa League next season, and who ends up in neither of those. The race is on. It's very exciting. And this is, I think, the main reason why people say the Premier League is the best league in the world, because there's so many strong teams that are very similar, that are always fighting for something big. For Nottingham Forest to be fighting for Champions League, for Chelsea and Man City not to be in the Champions League next season, for Aston Villa to be so consistent all season and to be just eliminated from the Champions League quarterfinals this season and then fighting to be in the Champions League next season. This is huge for the Premier League. It's huge for these smaller clubs, if you want to say that. I don't think you can say Aston Villa is a smaller club anymore, but Unai Emery has done a brilliant job with them. And yeah, it's going to be exciting to see who ends up in the Champions League next season. So definitely going to be following that. So yeah, another exciting week of football. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. Please give it a like. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. And I will see you guys next time. Take care.